Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this discussion on a very important subject. Afghanistan obviously is very close to our heart in the sense that much hinges on Afghanistan's situation. Thank you very much. Just very briefly, I will try to make a few points. Afghanistan situation can be examined at three different levels. One is obviously domestic. Internally, we all know that the Taliban have shown enormous resilience, commitment, and unflinching resolve to re-establishing the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. They did not get this, or the president's success on a platter. During the last 20 years, they have given enormous sacrifices, and as a matter of fact, they never agreed to the dispensation or to the dispensations which stemmed from the Bonn process. So they were very clear from the word go, and they have been resisting or fighting against the foreign occupation. Their objectives were very clear right from the beginning, and finally they realized their objectives. Now in Afghanistan, obviously there are forces which are anti-Taliban. They will continue to be anti-Taliban. And I personally do not expect that the Taliban would go beyond a certain point to accommodate its detractors. Because at the end of the day, the Taliban is also an ideological movement. It's not a political organization or a political party as other parties may be. So in order to retain its relevance, its constituency, it is important for the Taliban that whereas they work to have an inclusive government, on the other hand, they're also very conscious of the fact that they have to firmly cling to their ideological objectives. So they cannot deviate from their ideological course either. So they are in a cleft stick, but I'm sure since they have achieved successes militarily, so now it should be possible for them that they include a few people in order to be inclusive. Obviously, there are also concerns that Taliban may be acceptable, but the Talibanization of the 90s may not be acceptable. The Taliban, they are claiming that they have transformed, and if one goes by their statements, they're all very positive, constructive, and one hopes that they mean what they say. And some of the important progress which has been made during the last 20 years in the context of women empowerment and girls' education and so on and so forth would be retained in a new constitution, because the Taliban cannot afford to continue with the same constitution. They will have to amend the constitution, give it a new name, and as we all know that they claim that they have restored the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. So in any case, constitutional amendments are inevitable. Now, how they go about it, traditionally, they can always convene a loya jirga and bring about changes there. We will see, but the Taliban, I'm sure, will be cognizant of the fact that they also need international recognition. So as soon they form their government, we will see things going in that direction, changing the constitution, changing the flag, And as far as the flag is concerned, as far as I remember, it has been changed almost for more than 30 times during the last 100 years. So, and I'm sure that the Taliban would like this national flag to be changed again. So domestically, the Taliban may not be facing any serious problem to their power, but they will have to quickly put their act together, start governing, and because challenges are humongous, from security to economic problems, they will have to move very, very fast in order to bring everything under their control. And then some people are talking about democracy, democracy. I find, this bizarre and risible in my view, because if you remember, as a result of September 2019 elections, Dr. Abdullah yet again claimed that the elections were rigged. And then at one point in time, we had two presidents in Afghanistan. So people who are talking about bringing in Western style of democracy, they are, I think, they do not understand the internal dynamics of Afghanistan. And then democracy, as we all know, does not have any one hue on which the world agrees. We have different democratic system in Iran, in Russia, in China, in Pakistan, in Egypt. So all, important is that they come up with a political system which provides, which is all encompassing, which is transparent, and which provides room for everyone, space for everyone. So that would be a huge challenge for the Taliban. But I hope the Taliban have learned from their past mistakes and would not repeat them. So domestically, regionally, I think Pakistan is the biggest stakeholder, since we have suffered hugely because of the turmoil in Afghanistan. So we do want Afghanistan to stabilize, but at the same time, we do not want to play solo, because the situation is quite difficult, and we would like to take everyone along. And our foreign ministers present visit to Central Asia, I think, is in the right direction. But at the same time, my own feeling is that we should not be unnecessarily, or Pakistan should not be unnecessarily seeing as putting preconditions on the Taliban. There are things in diplomacy which should not be discussed publicly or should not be brought to the public domain. So the more we talk about inclusive government or the need to form a broad-based government publicly and insisting on the Taliban, that in my view can boomerang in different ways. So we should not be doing that. We should be conducting behind the scenes diplomacy and trying to build consensus, and then be staying in touch with the Taliban leadership, rather than to be, and at this point in time, the Taliban government is far more important than us, than other stakeholders. So my own suggestion would be that it is important that Pakistan should not be seen as building unnecessary preconditions or pressures on the Taliban. Because in the region itself, we all know that how India has been exploiting the situation in Afghanistan and has been using different outfits from Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan to Balochistan Liberation Army and Balochistan Republican Army. And then we all know that how India is averse to CPAC, and they would try everything in their hand to destabilize Pakistan. So that agenda, they have not yet given up. So regionally, I think our best partners could be Russia, China, to a certain extent, Tajikistan, I do not know, Iran, maybe, but all these countries have their own vested interests. So does Pakistan. So there is no harm to have your interests and promote them, because diplomacy at the end of the day is the art of agreeing, accepting the feasible in order to advance the desirable. So we should keep in view the linkages between your tactical maneuverability and your and your ultimate objective. So that is the art. So one hopes that Pakistan, while trying to build regional consensus, would not be seen as putting too much pressure on the Taliban. And then we should be working for immediate recognition of the Taliban government, whether it is inclusive or not. This is because that is not our business, as a matter of fact. We should be kind of promoting, because Russia is now open to the idea of recognizing the Taliban, and so is China, I'm sure. So Pakistan should not be working outside this fabric. Globally, we all know that the US has claimed now many times that its biggest challenge is China, not even terrorism. Obviously, we all expect the Taliban that they would not allow their territory to be used against terrorism anywhere in the world. So we will see how things really pan out. But US policy is very clear. They would like to keep China engaged in different imbroglios around the world, and particularly in its near abroad. So my own assessment is that the US president may be saying something, but the US establishment may not be very comfortable with the idea of Afghanistan or this region, coming to terms to itself. So we should expect in the years ahead that things may not be as smooth and stable as we would wish them to be. Though Taliban, in my view, their full control in Afghanistan is a good sign. It does augur well for Pakistan. And we would very much wish that the Taliban succeed this time round. But let us be cognizant of the fact that there are forces in the region and in the world which would not like this region to stabilize, because on the one hand, there is BRI and CPAC, Gwadar Port. So all these are kind of, create ripples around the world. And China's economic progress does depend on BRI at the end of the day, and CPAC is, that we all know, the flagship project. So keeping all these, variables at systemic and subsystemic levels, Pakistan, whatever we are doing, it is so far we are moving in the right direction. We are trying to build consensus. But I would conclude by saying that Pakistan needs to be more circumspect, whereas we are conscious of our global image. It is also important that we should also be seen by the Taliban as we are kind of helping them rather than creating problems for them. Thank you very much.